Hello, I'm Sharon McNeil of Sharon McNeil Fine Art, and this is an introduction to gesture drawing. Now, if you've done any kind of drawing at all, you know that drawing is a very complex activity. In fact, we do many different kinds of drawings, and we use different parts of our brain based on the different kinds of drawing that we're doing. Every drawing, however, should begin with a gesture, just as any project begins with an initial idea. Yet most students don't really get a chance to learn the gesture until they're in college and they're taking a life drawing class. Yet gesture is the key to starting a drawing. And that's why I think it's very important to expose beginning drawing students to gesture drawing from the very beginning. Life drawing is ideal for gesture drawing because you can have the model changing poses at quick intervals. Typically, you might start a class with 1-minute poses. The model takes a pose and you draw as quickly as you can, as big as you can on the page. Then the model changes poses and you flip the page and start all over again. So they need to be drawn very quickly. If they're not drawn quickly, the professor might cut the pose to 30 seconds. Basically, it goes so fast that your arm starts to get tired and hurts, and you stop caring about what your drawing looks like, and that is when your drawings get interesting. But there's no reason you can't start learning the gesture from the beginning. We use gesture to draw everything. It is the basis for all visual thinking. So what I'm going to suggest is an exercise that you can do daily to help yourself develop these skills. If you keep it up for a month, I have no doubt you will see results. Now, I wouldn't say that gesture drawing is easy. Now, it may be for some people, but for others, myself included, it took a while to sink in. So you have to be patient with yourself. What makes this so hard for people is today we're used to solving problems part by part. This method is called analytical thinking. We take a problem, we break it down into parts, and then we solve it. But that is exactly the opposite of how you want to start a drawing. You want to start a drawing by sketching out an indication of the whole thing. You want to find a mark that goes through the whole drawing in the first 6, 7, 8 seconds. You want a mark that says something about the entirety of what you see. You want a mark that conveys a feeling or an idea. Believe me, I know that this is easier said than done because we love details. I mean, how many people out there take pride in being detail-oriented? I mean, you have to be detail-oriented in this job market. But details are not what you need to start a drawing. You actually need to learn to not see the details in the beginning stages of a drawing. And gesture drawing is really how you learn to do this. So gesture drawing is basically visual training to help you see the whole before the parts. Consider this drawing by the Venetian artist Veronese. It's a study for a wedding party, so with all these figures in the scene, there is no way he can start by drawing one person and then another and continue to add people one by one. When you start a drawing this way, you usually get things out of proportion. Basically, he needed to draw the whole thing. Big clusters of groups in relation to each other. Just as if you were to draw a flower. If you were going to draw a flower, you wouldn't draw it petal by petal. You would draw a suggestion of the whole thing and then find the petals within it. And this is what he's doing here, only the people are petals. Now you can see the gesture in this drawing through the movement. At first glance, it seems to start with the bottom group and sort of curve its way up through a figure 8 and then off to the upper right side. Or perhaps you see it start from the top and work its way down. It doesn't matter where it starts because once it starts, it's all over the place. It's all through the whole scene. But it is that understructure that really holds the drawing together. Another example is the student's sketchbook drawing. It's just like the exercises I recommend. It's of a whole cluster of things in the student's dorm room. He didn't just draw one individual thing. His marks go from the bed covers to the shoes down to this item and then over to that item. It travels through the picture and acts like a glue holding it together. Obviously, he's been drawing very quickly. Do you see that number in the upper right side, 540? That was the amount of time that was spent on this drawing, 5 minutes and 40 seconds. That's a long time for a gesture drawing. When you spend 5 minutes or more on a gesture drawing, it becomes what I call a continuous gesture. Long gestures like these play an important role in transitioning into the next phase of the drawing process. So, when you're doing a drawing like this, you're not thinking about the details. But this kind of drawing will help you make a place for the details to emerge. In other words, it will help you get the details in the right location. So when you start a gesture drawing, it may seem way out of proportion, but if you can keep it going, that is, I have found the longer I can keep a gesture going, the more accurate the drawing will be in the end. And in my own experience, this concept took a long time to sink in. So I want to reiterate, it's very important to be patient with yourself. So when you begin a gesture drawing, it's likely to feel uncomfortable because it seems out of control. That's okay, because what you're trying to access is the part of your brain that deals with the whole. Now, you might have heard of the concept right brain versus left brain. The right brain is intuitive and sees the whole. The left brain is all about the details. And when you're focused on details, you cannot see the overall picture. So you're likely to get proportions all messed up because you couldn't see the whole, you couldn't see all the parts in context with the part you're drawing. You really want to allow the right side of your brain to take the lead on this. Have you ever done something where you lost all sense of time? That's an indication that you're thinking intuitively. And that is the part of your brain that you want to learn to access again and again when you need to. Here we can see that the gesture drawing is not about a finished product, it is about the process. This means gesture drawing reflects how you're thinking about what you see. And that's what you're trying to develop here. It's to change the way you think about what you see, not to create a perfect drawing. You may do 100 gesture drawings and throw them all away. Or perhaps you decide to keep 2 of them. All this doesn't matter. What matters is the activity and the process that you go through that will help you grow. Now, if you do gesture drawing in a class or you have a chance to go to an open model session, I highly encourage it. However, you may not be able to do this. Like right now, I am recording this during the COVID shutdown. But there are still tons of resources online. You can set up a routine that will work for you. Even 15 minutes a day will make a difference. If you're looking at things that are around you, it helps a lot to time yourself. Try 2 minutes or 1 minute. If you feel yourself getting into details, then stop and reset the time to shorter intervals. I know it seems like a waste of paper, but I do think drawing one figure to a page is important because it teaches you how to compose. So get yourself some lightweight sketch paper or newsprint and draw on both sides. Even if you draw digitally, doing some with real materials will help you get the feel of those materials. So when you try to recreate those digitally in Photoshop or Procreate, you'll have a much better idea about what you're trying to achieve. Now, if you start a gesture drawing session for the first time, you might feel nervous, excited, or even a sense of panic. Everyone feels this way at first, and everyone feels like they don't know what they're doing. This is all energy that you can put into your drawing. And keep in mind that learning something new is uncomfortable. You're actually changing your brain, forging a new pathway. So you just need to push through it and know that it will make a difference.